Did the Philadelphia Eagles do something pretty smart related to COVID? This is Dr. David Chao, Pro Football Doc, SixScore.com. Tom Pelissero tweeted, fully vaccinated players are only tested if they're symptomatic, randomly selected, or voluntary. Entering playoff time, it makes sense for more players to get tested Mondays, starting the 5-day clock early to not miss games. And once you've tested positive, you're not tested again. Look, I'm not advocating COVID gamesmanship, but we all know gamesmanship happens in the NFL. And I'm not saying that teams should or shouldn't do this or should or shouldn't be testing. I'm just relating what the NFL policies are and what might be happening. The Philadelphia Eagles, let's take a look. They had 12 positives today. Linebacker Avery, D-tackle Fletcher Cox, safety Marcus Epps, tight end Dallas Goedert, guard Nate Herbig, running back Jordan Howard, center Jason Kelsey, cornerback Avonte Maddox, safety Rodney McLeod, running back Boston Scott, linebacker Alex Singleton, tight end Jack Stoll. That's a lot of different position groups. Work with me here. I'm not suggesting the Eagles did this. I'm not saying the team suggested this. Maybe it was a player movement. Maybe it was the GM. It was the coach. Who knows? But wouldn't it potentially make sense for the Eagles, who are locked into either the 6th or 7th seed, and kind of have a meaningless game this week against the Cowboys? Does it really matter if they play the Bucs, the Rams, or the Cowboys? The bottom line is they have to go on the road. If you test positive today, you'll be back in time for the game. You won't practice all week, but it will assure that you will have a solid week of practice and no distractions before your playoff game. It might make sense if you are doing COVID gamesmanship to volunteer to test. Look, I don't think all these people that are on this list were unvaccinated, so they didn't have to be tested. They either had symptoms, volunteered to be tested, or was part of the random testing group, which they do by position. So here you have a couple linebackers, a couple of running backs, a couple of tight ends, a couple of safeties, a couple of offensive linemen, and a cornerback. That's spread throughout the team. That's not the targeted random testing. So how does this happen? Either there's a lot of unvaccinated players that got tested, or a lot of the players came up symptomatic, or perhaps the Eagles somehow decided, let's just test on Monday. Our game is not till Saturday. This is basically our bye week game. We're going to rest likely Jordan Howard anyways. We're going to rest Miles Sanders. There's nothing really in it for us to win this game anyways. If we test positive, it puts it behind us. So looking at the spread of players here, I don't think it's impossible that the players either got together and chatted, or the team somehow said, look, let's just volunteer to test. And if it happens that you have it, we'd rather have you have it this week before the meaningless Week 18 game, rather than test positive next week and miss practice before the wild card playoff game, or God forbid, test positive later in the week and actually miss games or playoff games. Just a thought. I'm not advocating having a COVID party. I'm not advocating anything here. Just making the observation that what happened to the Eagles was more than targeted position testing. And it's part of the gamesmanship that probably goes on around the NFL, as Tom Pelissero appropriately points out. In any case, Week 18 and then on to the playoffs. Go to Sports Injury Central, SixScore.com for all the information. Thanks.